Hey, hello everyone. First of all, good afternoon. And in this session, I'm going to talk about why your security best practices don't work. So before start the agenda of this session, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Nishchay Kothari, and I'm working as a technical consultant in Fujitsu, Singapore. And I'm the part of Fujitsu's Enterprise Postgres Global Center of Excellence team. So this is the agenda of this session, and around next 35 to 38 minutes, I'm going to talk about all these points. And if you have any question regarding any point, so feel free to ask me at the end of the session, so at least I can not distract from my agenda as well. So let's start. So I'm sure that many of you heard about the data breach, right? Data breach word, and nowadays, as the technology is evolving day by day, and the incidence of the data breach is also increasing day by day. So, according to the latest data breach report by the IBM and the Ponemon Institute, in 2023, I would say, in 2023, the average cost of data breach is going to be around 4.45 million USD, which is almost 2.3% increase if we are comparing the data breach cost in 2022. So in 2022, the cost was around 4.35 million USD. And out of all the, you can see how many countries are, spending that money, that much amount of revenue to protect their data. And US is always high. And we have a lot of many industries in the world, right? But healthcare industry is always a soft target for the hackers to break the, to perform the data breach. So data breach is not only bring the embarrassment for any organization who become the victim of that, but it also have the negative other impacts like revenue loss. Customer also going to reduce the trust on the brand, as well as also the stock price of the organization is going to be fall. You can see on a screen that where there are various organizations and government entities from the developed countries are become the victim of data breach in the recent time. So let's start with some basic thing. What is the CI/CD? So CI/CD is stands for this continuous integration and continuously delivery and deployment. So it is considered as a set of practice for the software development, which aims to automate and streamline getting the code change, the process of getting the code change from the non-production environment, or I would say the development environment, to the production environment. So DevSecOps is another method of the software development, and which emphasizes or I would say integrates the security on every stages of our software development lifecycle. So it is very easy to, and I would say that very safe to say that DevSecOps is an extension of DevOps, which aims, or I would say emphasize the collaboration and communication between the various teams: development, security, and operation team. So now in this slide, I'm going to talk about one of the two top software industry trends: speed and security. So as we all want to deliver our software as quickly as possible, right? But we also expect that that particular software or application also needs to be also secure, very well secure and trustworthy, right? So traditionally, this particular two trends, speed and security, is also acting as a tug of war. Why? Because if you would like to deliver any software as quickly, then there are high chances that certain security aspects is going to be overlooked. This kind of ignorance definitely will create some major impact in later stage as well. While on the other hand, if we keep focusing only on the security, then overall development speed is going to be reduced from normal speed to the crawling speed. That's why I'm using that they're acting as a tug of war. So as I mentioned in my previous slide, the CI/CD, right? So CI/CD is taking your application code from the initial idea to the end user as a final product. But as I mentioned, that all the software needs to be trustworthy as well, and that's the reason we need to add security, and that's the reason that DevSecOps comes into the consideration. So now we here are, or talk about the PostgreSQL. So let's start with that. So PostgreSQL, we all know that very popular database for microservices and cloud-based application. But I must say that you need to be more vigilant while using the PostgreSQL. The reason behind that, it's because of this, it's an open source nature, right? So with the help of open source nature, we get the power, freedom, and flexibility. But while on the other hand, we will also get the risk of the vulnerabilities. So definitely we should not stop using the PostgreSQL, right? Because we all love PostgreSQL. So what we can do certain very basic things which helps you protect your environment. First is you can integrate the right CI/CD, so the right security tools into your CI/CD pipeline. Second, we can also always need to use a strong authentication and authorization mechanism for the secure authentication process. And the last one, always keep your PostgreSQL database up to date. So in this slide, I'm going to talk about how you are going to save your data when using the PostgreSQL as a database. So let's consider that your personal data, means it could be anything. It could be your personal information or customer information, bank records, or maybe family, photographs, videos. It could be anything. And I'm most sure that you guys will not store the data, this kind of data, without think of any security measures, correct? So what we can do to make it more secure? Very basic thing, always need to choose a secure solution. Means, for example, let's say you go for a long vacation with your whole family, then you will not rely this home safety with, the old rusty padlock. Definitely with the same approach and mindset, we should not consider the database is safe, which have a weak or less security, and we are not motivated to store any of our data on this kind of database. Thankfully, nowadays, various PostgreSQL solutions comes with the inbuilt security features which are responsible to provide the secure and strong authentication process by using any of the authentication method like password certificates or multi-factor authentication. Additionally, we can also do one thing about that. They also offer the data encryption, various data encryption technology which is going to provide the data at rest or data in transit, data protection, and also have a very strong data access control policy. Second thing is always learn from the expert. I must say you should not be a security expert to create a safe database in your environment, but you can ask your vendor to provide the guidelines or instruction manual commonly known as security best practices. So we can take as a base, which this kind of documents also have various instructions and sample commands we can use as a base, and also able to create the secure environment, a secure database in the environment. Additionally, we can also go for the CIS benchmark. They have a very detailed, dedicated document for the PostgreSQL which contains all the security best practices as well. We can take it as a base and proceed further. Security scans. I will answer all the questions at the end of the session. Thank you. So security scanner. So we all know that, I'm sure many of your organizations have already security scan tools in place, and they are responsible to scan the various aspects of your infrastructure, like, right? So I'll give you the example. Let's say you are not feeling well. For example, you visit a doctor. Doctor is going to check your health, right? And depending on your health problem, either you will receive the medicines from the doctor or advice from the doctor for the further diagnosis. Correct. So with the same way, security scanners are also considered as our tech doctor. They are going to scan the various aspects of your infrastructure, like network, security, firewall, database and operating system. It could be anything, and many more aspects as well. So if they found anything which is not up to the mark, or I would say vulnerable, then definitely this kind of tool is going to raise the alarm. Okay. So we should also, what is our next responsibility? Our next responsibility is that we need to fill the gap. So how with the gap? So generally we all know certain level of best practices to keep our system healthy and secure, right? But sometimes, somehow, somewhere there is a gap, and the gap could be anything, might be missing the update patch or overlook certain security settings as well. So at that time, this kind of security scanner tools comes as a friend, and they are going to highlight the missing area. And our responsibility, as I said, we need to bridge the particular gap. So bridging the gap, we need to review our security scan reports on a regular interval. After that, we need to understand the why behind every single alert and need to perform the thorough analysis. Don't jump on any conclusion, okay, this is the problem, this is the problem, this is the fix. Perform the thorough investigation and then apply the fix for that particular thing. And fix could be anything, it completely depends on the situation. Just for example, after applying the latest security patch, problem will be resolved, or might be you also need to tighten the security settings. It could be anything. There are various techniques which we can integrate into the PostgreSQL to make our PostgreSQL more strong, I would say more secure. Let's see. In this slide, I'm going to talk about one of the most powerful tool which is going to provide a complete safeguard to your data, or I would say data files, called transparent data encryption. So I would say TD is like a dedicated database security guard for our database, which is going to create, depending on the business requirement, they are going to create either 128 or 256 bit of encryption shield around your data files. And this kind of encryption level is widely accepted by many financial organizations who are mainly dealing with the PCI DSS standard. So, as I mentioned, it is going to create the files, right? Encrypted files. So it is also provides the data at rest security, because if the encrypted TD encrypted table files is going to be accessed by hacker, they will not see the actual data, they will see the only scramble of code. And if you would like to deploy the TDE in your environment, you can do very easily without any special requirement to modify or rewrite the existing application logic. It will work very smoothly with your existing data. And after the implementation of the TDE, if you would like to change the, depending on the business requirement, change the encryption key on a regular interval, you can also able to do that, and there is no requirement of the re-encrypting the existing data as well. Last one, I would also say that there is no performance degradation. So you will not see any performance drastically down, or I would say the drastic performance slowness as well if you are going to use a TDE in your environment. TDE will encrypt every single thing which comes within its scope. So TDE will, if you created a TDE encrypted table space in your environment, then all the database objects is going to be created in that particular table space is going to be by default encrypted. TDE also encrypt all the backup files, temporary files, as well as wall files. So hackers will not get any benefit by accessing those all encrypted data files. In this slide, now I'm going to talk about another security technique called data masking. It is just like putting a mask on your sensitive information. So to implement the TDE in your environment, first of all, we need to identify the column or part of the column which are responsible to store the sensitive information. And after that, you can apply any of the techniques, encrypting, replacing, or randomizing to scramble your original sensitive information into the a new form. Okay, and that's the thing. So after applying any of the technique, your data, it still looks like a real data. So it is perfectly suitable for testing, analytics, or development purpose. But if hacker is going to access those data, it is completely useless, because it is this particular technology scramble all the sensitive information. That's why it is completely useless for the hackers. This is again is widely accepted and popularly used by all the organizations who are dealing with the PCI DSS standard, and this particular technique also provides the protection in online and offline mode. Both mode is covered. So just like as I mentioned in my previous slide, that the data masking is just like look like putting a mask on your sensitive information. So it's just like when we wear a mask, right? So others can see our eyes and able to hear our voice, but they will not be able to see our full face. With the same way, the data masking is also working in a similar kind of way. So, and also have a few masking techniques as well called, let's start at the full masking. So full masking is just like putting a superhero mask on your data. So it will convert your original sensitive information completely into new form of scrambled data. So it will not easy to identify what data actually is. So it's just like, in simple language, I can say like it's turning Peter Parker into the Spider-Man in every single place where it is visible. Partial masking. Partial masking is a technique to hide only certain part of sensitive information, and remaining sensitive part of information is going to be as it is visible by the others. So, and I'm sure that you guys have experienced this kind of partial masking in your day-to-day life. When you, for example, when you place any order for online website, and you if you have a payment card already saved inside the payment method, you will see the only last 4 digits is visible, but remaining initial 12 digits are already masked. That's called the partial masking. Regular expression is used to use the spatial pattern to mask the specific part of your sensitive information, and by keeping other things very well in organized manner. So for example, let's say you want to show display any address, your home house number, building name is still visible. But the street name, which is starting with some special pattern as per mentioned in the data masking policy, if any street name is going to start with that particular special pattern, then that street name is going to be masked. Remaining other street names are going to be looks as it is. So auditing. So audit logging enables the organization to trace the audit and the usage of sensitive information and data, and also able to record the connection attempts to the database. The administrator can also able to get the information about the data access information as well by logging the certain information like what data is accessed, when the data is accessed, who accessed the data, and how the data is accessed. So these are all the information easily captured inside the database logs, audit logs. And all the informations are going to be logged in a dedicated audit log file, which is completely separate from the database server log files for the easy maintenance and access point of view. There are two types of audit logging available. One is the session audit logging. It is responsible to log the information about the certain events like connection attempt, PostgreSQL service start and stop events. Then another, another information they are capturing the the maintenance activity and the backup operation as well, and few other things are there. Next one is the object level auditing. In this particular kind of logging is record all the DML operations which are going to be applicable, which is going to be performed on a specified database objects, and this type of logging is going to be give you a more granular level of audit information. Both the audit easily configured by the database administrator. So the actual goal of the auditing is to provide the ability to the organization to produce the logs which are comply with the various government standards like PCI DSS, and also helps the organization to obtain the ISO certification as well. The table on the screen, you can see that these are the, in a orange color column, these are the list of the class name which we need to configure inside the PG audit log configuration files, and according to the class name, the appropriate statement will be logged by the PG audit in the audit log files. I would say that depending on the business requirement or organization requirement, there are other certain techniques like PG crypto, full disk encryption, file system level of encryption is also possible to configure with the PostgreSQL. There are various policies also available which makes the PostgreSQL more secure. So in this slide I'm going to talk about which is going to be affect every single one of us, our privacy, our data, and our rights in the today's modern online landscape. So let's consider that your data is like personal data, like your name, address, contact details, what you buy, where you go, with whom you are talking. All the informations are considered as a valuable treasure chest, and the GDPR, which stands for the General Data Protection Regulation, is going to put a lock on that particular chest and giving a complete power in your hand as well. So if any organization would like to follow this particular GDPR compliance, they need to follow certain guidelines as well. So first is the transparency. So organization needs to clearly communicate with the user that how they are going to collect the data, how they are going to protect and use the collected data as well into very simple language, not with the complicated legal jargons. Consent. So it is quite obvious, like someone wants to touch your valuable treasure, then they need to obtain a permission from you, right? They cannot directly touch that, right? So the process of obtaining the permission, it should be a very, should not be forcefully and tricky way as well. With the same way, organization needs to get the consent from the user for the usage of this kind of information in a very straightforward manner without any hidden clause. The next one is the right on your fingertips, means user have a complete rights to see that what data is collected by the organization, and if they found any discrepancy, they can raise the concern, they can change the modification policy as well, request to change the modification policy, as well as they can also raise the request to delete the collected data. Security, so organizations are completely responsible to use responsible to protect the data by using the latest security techniques and security best practices. Still, nothing is safe in this today's world, right? So in case data breaches happen, then organization is immediately informed to the users as well as the authority about the data breach, as well as they need to start evaluation about the impact of the data breach, as well as they need to start to fix that particular data leak so they can save the data for the future. Now imagine the world where you just need to remember only one password, and with that particular password you can unlock every single thing what you need. That's the beauty of the centralized access, user access control, commonly known as a single sign-on or SSO. Right, so it is just like, I would say that it is just like having a master key to open your every single door in your digital life. Well, this is very very beneficial because we don't require to remember multiple passwords. So it's very easy to say that makes our life more easier because we don't need to remember and juggling with the multiple passwords, correct? But it is not only make your life easy, it also makes it important for the password enforcement. Password policy, it makes the password policy more strong and resistant as well. And that's the reason our IT team life also makes more easy because they can easily enforce the strong password policy within the organization to keep our data safe from the praying eyes. Then after, we can also able to integrate this kind of technique with our CI/CD, existing CI/CD pipeline by using the various LDAP, appropriate LDAP plugins, and also able to make the automation, the process of granting and managing the access right, and this kind of automation is very effective for our development team. So as we have seen in earlier slides as well, to keep your business or sensitive information safe, so by using the encryption key is like putting a lock on the door to keep your praying eyes out of the door. And that is most important require on the cloud environment where security risk is always high. Right, so in a PostgreSQL, have a capability to encrypt and decrypt your data, and it's going to be work very effectively with a third-party tool like key store and secret management tool like HashiCorp Vault, and many other similar kind of tool as well. So, like say now, what is the benefit? So PostgreSQL have a different two ways to store the keys. Either you can store on a same server where the database server is running, or you can go for the extra layer of security by choosing the external key management store. So if you go with the external key management, there are other two benefits is that the entire life cycle management of that particular key is a lot more easier on a third-party tool, as well as in case somehow hackers are able to break into your system and or into the database server, they will not be able to access your data without the appropriate key. So that's the benefit. But irrespective of your choice, you want to go with the local storage or you want to go with the external key management store, by integrating into your CI/CD pipeline with the proper tool, then your entire you can make your, it is just like automating the security checks to make sure that everything is secure and safe. So in this slide, I'm going to talk about the automation of security process for PostgreSQL database in your CI/CD pipeline. So I must say that you all are agree with me that the security should not be considered as an afterthought. It should be considered very well in advance or integrate with the software development life cycle at the very beginning. Correct? So the thing is that, so for example, like I would say that if when you perform any code change, right? So as a standard practice, it's like using the version control tool to keep the track of all the changes, right? And so with that kind of things, we can which also make sure that everything is work very well and effectively all together. Well, we can also do the same thing with our security checks as well by integrating into the CI/CD pipeline. So we can also able to identify the potential issues before they can cause any damages into the application development process. So there are certain points which also need to be considered. That one is by just like any other code change, we can also store our security templates, security baseline inside the code repository, and we can run them as a unit, through our pipeline. All the members of the DevSecOps teams are purely responsible for the writing and managing the security scripts that is not, because it is not a one-man job. No one can easily able to manage everything workload for, as a single person. So it's all team responsibility to maintain and writing all the security script. Then after, the third one is by using the CI/CD pipeline for provisioning and the security hardening. So we can, with this second approach, we can also make sure that consistency is still there, and also able to identify the problems in every single development process stages. Last one, successfully automated security compliance report can serve as serve as a sign-off from the security team, which helps to save your time and also improve the overall delay in the project timeline. So in this slide, I'm going to talk about how to secure your data when it is moving, means data in transit. So PostgreSQL have an inbuilt capability called SSL, which works very effectively with the transport layer security, means TLS. And with these two combination of these two, your data is always safe when it's travel between your computer and database server. So with the help of SSL TLS, we can able to achieve the two types of encryption. One is the public key encryption. It acts like a fancy lock, so only right person can open that. It means only you and the database know what is being sent via network. Symmetric encryption is just like a secret code, so all the users are see the particular data as a garbage of data without the appropriate key. If you want to deploy these things in your environment, and certain things needs to be in place, first OpenSSL software needs to be installed in a client as well as on the database server. Okay. And then second one is you need to have a server key and a certificate to make sure that you are talking to the right place, not with some fake imposter. And last one is you need to configure certain SSL related parameters inside the PostgreSQL. Once you have all these things in place, then you are good to go and able to make sure that your data is always secure and encrypted when it is traveling via network. PostgreSQL supports self-signed certificate as well as third-party CA certificate. So depending on the business requirement and requirement of security, we can choose any one of them. Security patching. So this helps to keep your system healthy and protected from potential threats. So we should not ignore any security patches because it provides the complete safeguard against the security vulnerabilities which might be exploited by the hacker to break into the system and can damage or steal our valuable data. That is why it is always strongly recommended to apply the security patch for OS and database on a regular interval as soon as all the patches are become available. It is always a good practice to integrate your patching into your development process, because the reason behind that, it is all the testing, or I would say the successful testing and implementation of your patches into the development server is already done. So it is very safe to continue this particular patch for the live production system. Otherwise, it might be dicey situation, might be create some problem if you are going directly apply on the production system. Next one, it is again highly advisable to integrate automate your patching process. So the benefit of the automating patching process is that you can save your time, maintain the consistency, as well as also reduce the risk of the human error. So these are the very good benefit to having automating patching system in your environment. So in this slide, I'm going to talk about oftenly overlooked aspects of cyber security called security policy compliance monitoring. So put it in a simple way that it is just like to make sure that we are following all the right security guidelines and security rules in our organization. Again, give a simple example that let's say you have a very well advanced home security system, but you will never know that, always in dilemma that whether this particular system is going to be work on a right time or not. That is the thing, because we are not testing that particular home security system. And this is the reason that many organizations have failed to perform the appropriate action when actually they required to perform, because they never tested the entire process thoroughly. So now the question is how we can come out from this dilemma, how to improve this process. So there are certain things is there. We need to automate the process. So we need to integrate the right CI/CD tool for our security checks into our system development lifecycle at the very beginning stage. Create a security checklist. So we need to list out all the security checks at a single place, which will work as our security checklist. Next one is the treat security controls like a test case. So just like when we are performing the rigorous application test, right, to identify any bug or error, with the same approach and mindset, we need to test all the security checks to see their effectiveness. We can schedule all the execution of the security checks on a regular interval, as well as at the end of the execution of the security checks, we need to configure to generate the final report as well. We always maintain to history, right? So it is always beneficial to have a history, which helps to compare your data. What is the improvement? What are the situation in the past? So for that, we can also log all the security checks result inside the database to maintain the history. And last one is fix the problem promptly. So just like when we have, just like if anyone reports any bug or error for the application, we are working on like a war, right, to fix that particular error or bug. With the same approach, if we found any security checks is failed to execute successfully, then our prime responsibility is to fix that particular or resolve that particular failure. So next time our security check will work successfully. So at the end, I would say that the security is not the only process to stop the bad guys. It is also equally important to important to give a peace of mind to the customer by letting them know that their data is completely safe with us. By integrating the various right security tool into a CI/CD practice and give a certain spatial attention to the PostgreSQL, we are able to create, or I would say develop the application which are not only powerful and fast, but it is equally secure and trustworthy as well. That is our main goal, to deliver the successful and final product to the customer. So that's it from my end. If you have any question, please feel free. We have a few minutes for that. Yeah.
So can you give some insights on how data masking can be done?
Sorry?
Data masking,
Huh?
how can be done on Postgres?
Okay, so data masking, there is, okay, so there, as I mentioned, there are multiple solutions are available, okay. Then you can also go with the PGSQL, extensions as a PG Anonymizer, PG Redact, Data Redact, multiple extensions are available. You can use this kind of extension in your environment and you can achieve the benefit of data masking. PG Anonymizer and PG Data Redact.
Do you have inbuilt data at rest and data in motion encryption available in Postgres, open source Postgres?
Yeah, data at rest is always, you just need to configure this SSL parameters inside that, install create a self-signed certificate with the help of OpenSSL, and then you can integrate your self-signed certificates into the PostgreSQL, and then all the communications happen with the SSL connection.
That is the data in motion. What about data at rest?
Data at rest is also available by TD. Recently, a new extension is already available in the market, which is PG TDA. You can also use that as one, and you can able to do it.
PG TD, which version of Postgres?
It is extension.
Yeah. So you can use any version of.
Yeah. So I think it supports latest version. I'm sure latest version is supported. It is
by what, 14?
Sorry.
Postgres 14. It supports the TDE supports.
PG TDE, the extension is purely supported for the community PostgreSQL as well. You can able to use it in your community Postgres.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Because it's not available in documentation of Postgres. That's why.
Sorry. No, it is not. Because it's not developed by community. It is developed by the other organization.
Okay. Okay.
They donated to the community.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't get a question. Okay, so TD is a data at rest. So there is, yeah. Okay, so data at rest is a file system level encryption. So there is no provision to encrypt only first column and remaining column will not be encrypted. It's not like that way. Data at rest is everything is encrypted. You can achieve your encryption with the help of column level. We can go with the
PG
PG crypto.
PG crypto, yeah.
Yeah, PG crypto.
So I think in data at rest, I think we have looked at the option of disk level encryption. But as per the discussion with IT team, they says that there is a performance issue enabling it. Right?
Oh, okay. So there is, okay. So generally what happens, like when you, there is no drastically performance degradation. So when you add your encryption, right, in your environment, encryption, decryption, there are some minute time is going to be, utilized for the encryption and decryption. Correct. So might be there, but it's not like, okay, applying TD and then now use a deadlock, everything is dead. Or let's say, for example, your query is taking 4 seconds. Now, with the help of TDE, it's going to be 8 seconds or 10 seconds. It is not going to, countable amount of negligible performance overhead.
But what is the factors we should consider when you're enabling this disk level encryption? Hardware, in terms of hardware and other things. Any percentage of?
Can you repeat your question?
Any overhead we need to consider when you're doing sizing?
For sizing, is not related for that as well.
The CPU, RAM, and because.
No, it's okay. It's on the fly. Encryption, decryption is happening is on the fly. So it is not going to utilize your additional CPU or I would say compute power. Everything is very well. Hardly you will notice that, okay, I have seen your CPU spike. Never. So it hardly 0.0 something like that. So it is nothing to in your environment. If you have even though you have a large number of TPS, still you will not get that much amount of degradation as well. This last one. Oh, yes, okay, sorry. Yeah.
So we want to actually implement frequent key rotations for DB passwords in our company.
Okay.
And we haven't found any good way to do that because when we rotate a key, right, like all the production services will kind of break. They need to be restarted and something like that.
So, correct me if I'm understanding your question wrong. So you want to rotate the key.
The passwords.
Passwords, okay.
Yeah, DB
okay.
passwords.
Okay, so again, okay, so for that you can go for the password policies. Okay, so I think on community there is an extension is that I think PG password check or something like that. Sorry. Green check.
Cred check.
Something like that. So you can also with that, but I have no idea honestly about the cred check extension how it works. So generally. I work with the PG password policies, and even though we have multiple solutions are also available with the commercial product as well. So that's the thing.
Okay.
But to rotate the key on a regular interval, right? Either you can go. So for example, if you are going with the AD, okay, for you have a LDAP authentication configured in your environment, you can go for the extension LDAP sync. So it is going to be sync your LDAP passwords with the database match, synchronized. You keep synchronizing.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is that the microservices need to be restarted to pick up the new password. So that is
that. For that, actually, need to understand the entire, the application flow, the requirement. Might be the solution is not designed optimally. While designing the solution, they did not consider this kind of constraints. So, to go need to comment anything on you, like it's going to be understand everything end to end, then able to understand what's the exact pain point.
It's just the applications take the password during startup, right? So if you change the password, then you have to restart.
I got your point. But again, like as I mentioned, how you design these things internally, right?
Do you have any suggestions? What is the best practice in industry?
Best practices, okay. So as I mentioned, either you can go with the AD authentication, okay. Then it is going to have a LDAP sync extension as well. So you can easily synchronize depending on your schedule. So you can easily able to do it. But manually change like alter user and password, something like that. It is going to be a more tedious work, right? It might be create a problem as well. I think last one is one to all. Yeah, that one fine.
For any further questions, you can connect with him outside in the lobby. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm available at the Fujitsu booth, so you can meet me at any point of time. Yeah.
Thank you, Nishchay.
Thank you.